investors, and Apple is rotten. And for longtime traders of TGO, I don't say that with glee in my voice. I say that with more or less vindication in my voice. For those of you who've been trading at Top Gun Options for a while, you know that I called this. You know that this iPhone 5 roundup, as soon as we hit $700, I said sell. I said, Katie, bar the door, it is over with for Apple. And that's the same time that analysts were coming out with Apple 850, Apple 1000, Apple 1111. You name it. Analysts, you couldn't swing a dead cat without hitting analysts that said Apple was on its way to 1,000. Not me. I said Apple was on its way to 600 before it would see 1,000. And I was wrong. Why? It didn't see 600. It saw 500, and now it's seeing 450. It's catching a little correction here, up $3. I told you it was over with, folks. And if you'd been trading at Top Gun Options, you did pretty well, because you knew this right here is what we call a dead cat bounce, right? Dead cat bounce right here, and then this again. And then so we saw higher or lower highs and lower lows. That's never a good thing, folks. Now, this is why Top Gun Options isn't business, folks, because I love looking at all the strategic intelligence out there, looking at performance reports from Google and Android and Samsung, even BlackBerry coming out, and 3-4 months ago saying that this was going to happen. Knew this was going to happen, folks. I called it the commoditization of technology, right? The Amazons, Googles, BlackBerries, all these guys, Samsungs, are becoming airlines. Let me give you an example. American Airlines. We're having a fare sale from Miami to JFK. We're charging $200. What's JetBlue do? Oh, really? Miami to JFK, $200? We're going to do it for $190, American. Take that. And then Delta looks at him and goes, yeah, you too. Okay. Tell you what, Miami to JFK, we're going to do it for $160. Holy crap, American looks and goes, well, we can't let that happen. And it's a race to the bottom. It is going to be a race to the bottom with these technology stocks, folks. The pressure on margins is incredible. This is what's staggering, in that 48 million iPhone units were sold, which is a record for the device. And they're sitting on, you wouldn't believe how much cash they're sitting on. They could loan money to God based on the amount of cash that they're sitting on. But guess what happens, folks? We start running into the law of large numbers. Believe it or not, when you have that much money, it's hard to deploy it efficiently. Like, people think that, billion-dollar hedge funds, they must be printing money. It actually gets hard to deploy capital effectively and efficiently when you have that much of it. So Apple's in trouble, folks. I called it. We had a bearish double vertical spread on Apple a couple times on the way down that just absolutely crushed it and printed money in our model portfolio here. And I'd say look out below. It really is over for Apple. I'm going to tell you right now that I think it'll catch a short-term bid here. I think it's I think $53, folks, is a little much for Apple. I think institutional buyers might start stepping in here a little bit, and we might stabilize in the upper 400s, between 450 and 500. We had great trades on with Apple today. We had nice $100 wide iron condors that had a boatload of premium in them that performed incredibly today. So great trades out of Apple in our model portfolios. Hopefully you did the same thing. If not, you need to get on board Top Gun Options. So Apple's the main story of the day, folks. And the main story, make sure you join us tomorrow. Check your email. Join us for a before the market opens at 9 a.m. I'm going to be trading the four horsemen of the techpocalypse, so to speak. Apple, Google, Facebook, and Amazon. And I'm going to let you know who out of those four is going to be the winner, and who I'm going to be placing trades on. I'm going to do that live before the market opens tomorrow, 0900 Friday Eastern. I'm actually going to be out in Vegas, so I'm going to be up at 5 a.m., which kind of sucks being out in Vegas up at 5 a.m. So make sure, click on the link in this email to register. What else is going on? Well, today on the flight schedule, other than that, Mrs. Lincoln, how was the play? Today on the flight schedule, we have weekly unemployment claims, and they came in a little better than expected. Okay news, not the best news, but arresting kind of a trend. You'll go into seizures if you look at weekly unemployment claims as a real gauge of what's going on in the economy. So, yeah, a little better than expected, and that may be why the market's catching a little bit of a bid here. But let me tell you something. This should scare the hell out of everybody. North Korea to carry out third nuclear test aimed at the United States. So for all of you who really don't care about what's going on outside our country, you just care that Obama's giving away free phones, doesn't care about our debt, is putting us more and more into debt, and laughs at any notion that we're going to cut spending, Americans are getting killed overseas. The absolutely disgraceful performance by our Secretary of State in front of the Senate and the House yesterday, incredible. Incredible performance. I can tell you as a former naval officer, if your ship ran aground and you were sleeping or you were downstairs eating in the wardroom or you were on a treadmill working out, you got fired. Now, some of you might think that's unfair. Like, well, what are you talking about, Whiz? I mean, the guy was, asleep. Here's what the Navy would say to you. The Board of Inquiry would look at you and say, well, you know what, Captain? You should have spent a little less time sleeping and more time training the people on the bridge to not run aground. That's exactly the exact opposite way that politicians operate. I didn't see those cables. I didn't know they asked for more security money. I didn't know this. I didn't know this. I didn't know anything. Well, guess what, Madam Secretary? It doesn't matter if you don't know. You should have spent a little more time focusing on training people to get you the information that you wanted to know. If I ran the Department of State, my first order to all those heavies around me would be, if anybody is creeped out or worried that they're going to get killed, come to me immediately. Now, she said, oh, yeah, the State Department gets, $1.4 million cables, 1.4 million cables, a year or a month or whatever it is to the Department of State. Really? I'm not talking about the cables that say we need more staples. I'm talking about the cables from an ambassador in Benghazi that said our security situation is deteriorating. We need help. We're probably going to get killed here. Disgraceful. So with the nukes now over here we go again. So Asia's really starting to heat up. Japan and China, the Spratly Islands, the South China Sea with the Philippines, South Korea. Their coast guards and naval forces are starting to, lob some warning shots across each other's bows. You don't think a shooting war can start over there? I think you're wrong. World War II started because the United States froze Japan's oil. So don't think that a war can't start because of resources, folks. We have Canadian Coast Guard cutters and submarines more or less playing Cold War up in the Arctic. Why? Because of resources. Literally, a Russian submarine, was it about a year ago, placed a couple of bronze or whatever it was, plates at the bottom of the polar cap saying, we hereby claim this land for Russia. I'm telling you, folks, the world is a crazy place. And how's this look for you? The world's a crazy place. And look at the VIX. The volatility index, our, quote, fear gauge, is registering that we barely have a heartbeat, that the market is barely concerned about anything. This should creep the hell out of you. Yeah, we're having a rip-your-face-off rally in January, just as I predicted, folks. I predicted this in November and December, that like the past 3 years, 2010, 2011, 2012, we were going to come out of the gate and have a rip-your-face-off rally. Now, I caveated that recently based on the debt ceiling and said, hey, if we're going to have a debt ceiling debate, we might move laterally. But just on cue, Republicans and John Boehner folded like a cheap suit, and of course that wasn't going to happen, so we're putting our rally flags back on, right? So volatility's imploding here. But I'm going to tell you guys, now when insurance is cheap, you buy it. When vol is cheap, you buy it. When it's expensive, you sell it. The best time to buy hurricane insurance in South Florida here is now. It's sunny out, it's a nice 75 degrees, and there ain't a hurricane in sight. That's when you buy hurricane insurance. You don't buy hurricane insurance when it's cloudy and there's a tropical depression over in the Bahamas. It's too late. So you need to be stocking up on volatility now to make sure you're good to go. Okay, so obviously the biggest story of the day is Apple. Again, I think it'll probably catch a bid here. I think it's way, way oversold at this point. And a lot of people had bets that this was going to happen. So of course we're going to see this hang out down here a little bit. If it goes lower from here, if this doesn't find some footing where it currently is right now through the rest of the day and drives lower, get out of the way. Or if you trade options like we do at Top Gun Options, get in the way and join the bloodbath. And we're gonna, if it keeps on going downhill like this, we're gonna join that bloodbath and pile on the rabbit. Okay, nothing un-American about pounding a stock into the ground that deserves to be pounded into the ground. Okay. Like Gordon Gekko said on Wall Street, you want a friend, get a dog. So we're having a great time here, guys, at Top Gun Options. Like I said, we were ready for that Apple trade. And join us tomorrow morning at 0900, 5 a.m. Vegas time. I got to prepare, obviously. But for me trading those four horsemen of the apocalypse, Techpocalypse, and see which one I think is going to win. And I'm going to add some potential trades for our wealth creation with options model portfolio. Okay, all right, so I got to run. I'm going to be trading some Apple the rest of the day. Also taking a look at gold, GLD, see if that's going to catch a bid here, because we have two big positions in our weekly options model portfolio, which, by the way, subtle plug, shameless plug, is averaging $3,200 a week in profits. We launched this thing about 5.5 weeks ago, and we're cranking out returns of $3,200 a week on no more than $10,000 in risk. If those two trades completely exploded and I hit my head and didn't know what the hell I was doing, the most we could lose in the model portfolio is $10,000. Hopefully that ain't going to happen. I'm not going to hit my head. But look at that, folks. We've consistently cranked out gains on $10,000 a week of risk of $3,200. That's a weekly return, let me help you out with the math there, of 32%. Hell, folks, most hedge funds would shut down if they did 32% in a week or a year because that's their mission objective. If they did 32% a week, they'd move to be selling cash secured puts or doing covered calls and get conservative, because 32% is ginormous, and to do it week over week for the past 5 weeks is pretty shit hot. Excuse my French. So go to members, underneath services. You can scroll down to weekly options and take a test flight. Or like us old people, you can simply go to the, I believe the kids call it nowadays, the address bar, topgunoptions.com/weekly-options, and you can take a 2-week test flight and see how we do things here at in weekly options. And every Friday at 1, so tomorrow afternoon, we're going to have a live trading session or a video trading session where I put out at least 2 new trades for the following week. Okay, so give it a shot. 2-week test trial, man. Don't ever buy an airplane without bending that thing around the sky and putting it through its paces. Okay, got to run. Happy hunting. Make sure you hedge. I'm going to be trading Apple the rest of the day and hopefully printing money. I'll see you tomorrow with Friday's market wrap-up over at WCI.